Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Paris Olympics off to a glittering start with grand opening ceremony at Seine River. 10,500 athletes to compete in 329 medal events over 15 days. Indian athletes to be in action today in shooting, badminton, tennis and hockey. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu meets Republican candidate for presidentship Donald Trump in Florida, calls the relations good between the two. Trump calls Harris' remarks on Gaza conflict disrespectful. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi chairs federal policy think tank NITI Aayog's 9th Governing Council meeting on Saturday. Meet focuses on Viksit Bharat at 2047 document to make India a developed nation. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar holds meetings with counterparts on the sidelines of ASEAN, says political, economic and security cooperation with ASEAN is of utmost priority. Nation remembers Missile Man of India and People's President Bharat Ratna Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam on his 9th death anniversary. All right, let's start with all the updates on Paris Olympics. The Paris Olympics 2024 got off to a glittering ceremony on Friday with an unprecedented and ambitious show with close to 7,000 athletes parading down River Seine alongside some of Paris's most famous landmarks. The ceremony saw heavy rain too, but it failed to dampen the spirit of the thousands present. The Indian contingent was led by PV Sindhu and Sharat Kamal. For the first time in Olympic history, the opening ceremony took place outside the main stadium with some 300,000 people watching in person from specially built stands on the river banks. A fleet of barges took the competitors on a 6-kilometer stretch of the river as performers entertained spectators watching from the banks of the river. Two Indian teams will be in action in 10 meters air rifle mixed team qualification event as India begin their hunt for medals as early as the opening day. Shooters and badminton stars will also begin their campaigns in Paris on Saturday. DD India's Narayan Singh brings us the full schedule of Indian athletes on day one of the games. Take a look.
Today is an important day for the Indian squad at the Paris Olympics. India will start their campaign with shooting. The 10-meter air rifle mixed team qualification starts at 12:30 p.m. The first team consists of Ramita Jindal and Arjun Babuta, and the second team, which will consist of Velarivan and young shooter Sandeep Singh. Both the teams need to finish in the top 4 to qualify for the gold medal match here in Paris. If we talk about the next event, that is 10-meter air rifle pistol men's qualification in shooting, features Sarabjot Singh and Arjun Singh Chima. At 2 p.m., they need to finish in the top 10 to advance to the finals. In the tennis, Rohan Bopanna and Anshri Ram Balaji will compete against Ribol F and Roger Vaseline in men's doubles round of 32 at 3:30 p.m. They must need to win to qualify for the round of 16. And the 10-meter air rifle pistol women's qualification in shooting begins at 4 p.m. with Manu Bhakar and Rhythm Sangwan participating. And they need to finish in the top 10 to qualify for the finals. And now talking about badminton, where Lakshyan will face Kevin Cordon in the men's singles group stage at the around it, we can say that the evening 7 p.m. A win is necessary to move into the knockout stage here for the team. And talking about table tennis, Harmeet Desai will play against Jay Dabo in the men's singles starting round at around 7 p.m. He needs to win this match to enter to the main draw of the round of 64. And talking about badminton, where India's top shuttler duo Satvik Sairaj and Chirag Shetty will compete in the men's doubles. It will be around 8 p.m. And after that, we can say that here they need to win to top the group. While our Indian men's hockey team will play against the New Zealand in a pool match. It is around 9 p.m. And in badminton, another match, Ponappa and Castro will face the Hong Kong team. After that, we can say that in the next match in boxing, Preeti Pawar will compete against Thi Kim An Ho in the women's 54 kg category in the round of 32. And here she needs to win to advance to the round of 16. So this was a roundup of the schedule from Paris on the day one of the coveted game.
In boxing, India is fielding a 6-member boxing team at Paris Games who will fight for glory. DD India's Narayan Singh talked to Indian boxing team physiotherapist Soumya Jyoti Haldar at the Athlete Village on the chances of Indian boxing team earning medals. Let's listen in.
The Indian team is ready to shine at the Paris Games, and right now I am joined by the physiotherapist of the boxing team, Soumya Jyoti Haldar. Soumya, a very warm welcome. You are here in the Games Village with the athletes. So what different is with the Games Village this time around? Give some close view, synopsis. What kind of facilities are there in the Games Village for the players?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for this. Basically, like as compared to Asian Games, this the organizing committee, they basically make all the arrangement eco-friendly. Like if you see the bed and all, they make with the cardboards, so there is no wooden thing as used. Plus the cooling facility, basically they use the groundwater system. The internal pipelines are going inside the walls, and they have provided. I am thankful to our IOC committee. They have provided a pedestrian fan to each and every room, and the weather is so pleasant as compared to our India. Plus the food quality is good. Earlier they were facing problem, but now everything is managed so well, and we are getting too much good facilities from IOC India.
What are the chances of the Indian boxer taking into their fitness condition, as you are the physiotherapist of the team?
Yeah, our boxers are like in health-wise and fitness, they're perfectly fine. They are too excited and they're completely fit for the upcoming tournament. And yes, they are super excited for the upcoming game. And tomorrow we have a bout. Preeti is going to win, and hopefully we'll get maximum medals in boxing, and we'll look forward to good.
So the Indian squad is looking forward to win medals at the Paris Games, as the physiotherapist of the boxing team, Soumya, told about the Games Village where athletes are living, and it's an eco-friendly village where athletes are getting all sorts of facilities. And the most important thing is that all the norms are there to make the games greenest games of all time. With camera person Senthil, Narayan Singh for DD India, Paris.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended his best wishes to the Indian contingent taking part in Paris Olympics 2024. Prime Minister Modi tweeted, and I quote him, "As the Paris Olympics commences, my best wishes to the Indian contingent. Every athlete is India's pride. May they all shine and embody the true spirit of sportsmanship, inspiring us with their exceptional performances." All right, that was about Paris Olympics. Let's change track to other updates now. In the US, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with the Republican candidate for presidentship Donald Trump on Friday, calling the relations good between the two. Israel's leader is wrapping up a week in the US, during which he pushed for continued support from Washington. DD India's Caroline Malone gets us more.
Well, Donald Trump pledged to work towards peace in the Middle East and to combat anti-Semitism. That on Friday, after meeting with the Israeli leader, Benjamin Netanyahu. And Netanyahu has been in talks with many different groups over this week. He met earlier in the week with President Joe Biden and then Vice President Kamala Harris, who of course is the likely candidate for the Democratic Party moving forward. You know, overall, it's a chance for Israel to continue to push to get support from the United States for its campaign, in particular against Hamas. In Netanyahu's wording to Congress on Wednesday, he was framing it as the US being the closest allies to Israel, needing Israel as an ally in the Middle East, and also the US and Israel having the same enemies. And so therefore any benefit, any win for Israel is also a win for the United States. But we also heard slightly different messaging from Harris and also from Trump in earlier interviews, Trump in particular saying he's keen to see an end to the war. He's keen to see the end of the fighting between Israel and Hamas. And Harris was saying much the same, and going even further and saying she has very large concerns about the impact on the civilian population in Gaza. That's something that's been criticized by Trump, and even some suggestion that it might impact any ceasefire talks. But ultimately, there does seem to be some agreement amongst most US leaders and potential future leaders here, which is that there needs to be a ceasefire, there needs to be a release of hostages, and that needs to happen sooner rather than later. Now, President Biden, of course, met with Netanyahu a few days ago. Now that he's not standing to be president again, analysts are saying it's an opportunity for him to have more capacity during his remaining time, 6 months in office, to focus on big foreign policy and domestic issues that include the Israel-Hamas war, with the US keen to continue to pursue peace talks and try to get ultimately to a ceasefire. Caroline Malone in Washington for DD India.
Former U.S. President and Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump addressed the audience at the Turning Point Action's Believers Summit 2024 in West Palm Beach, Florida, and removed his bandage. Trump accused U.S. Vice President and likely Democrat candidate Kamala Harris of betraying Israel for not attending this week's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's address to Congress. The Republican candidate concluded by pledging to deport criminals and drug dealers, and he claimed Caracas have been turned into a crime-free city in Venezuela due to mass migration to the U.S. Trump warned Christian voters on Democrats' plans for the Supreme Court.
Thank you very much, everybody. And I stand before you tonight thanks to the power of prayer and the grace of Almighty God. As I think you can see, I've recovered well and, in fact, just took off the last bandage off of my ear. I just got it off. Harris will appoint hundreds of extreme far-left judges to forcibly impose crazy San Francisco liberal values on Americans nationwide. She'll appoint hardcore Marxists to the Supreme Court to shred our Constitution on all of our religious liberty. She will do that absolutely. She will try as hard as she can to add as many justices as possible to the U.S. Supreme Court.
U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris announced her candidacy for the November 5th presidential elections by signing the official forms. Harris, the first black woman and first Asian American to serve as vice president, and also the U.S. presidential, is hopeful that Kamala Harris is going to get, in fact, set to head into a new week on campaign trail with fresh endorsements from Barack and Michelle Obama. A handful of public opinion polls this week have shown her beginning to narrow Trump's lead. DD India's Mitch McCann gets us more from New York.
The Obamas had been a notable omission from Kamala Harris's long list of endorsements, the former president and First Lady choosing to remain impartial and wait until Harris gained enough support to be considered the presumptive nominee. In a video posted on Kamala Harris's social media pages, Harris answers a phone call from Barack and Michelle Obama. The former president says, "We called to say Michelle and I couldn't be prouder to endorse you and do everything we can to get you through this election and into the Oval Office." Then, in a later statement, the couple said they would, quote, "do everything we can to elect Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States." In the coming weeks, Harris is likely to be formalized as the party's nominee and will choose a vice presidential candidate and running mate. It's reported Harris is considering 12 contenders at the moment, but among the most being talked about are Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, and North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper. Meanwhile, it's still unclear if or when Kamala Harris and Donald Trump will be seen together on a debate stage. Donald Trump's campaign said it would be inappropriate to debate Harris as she is only the presumptive nominee, and Democrats may change their mind. Harris has suggested that Donald Trump and his team are backpedaling and that she's ready. Mitch McCann in New York reporting for DD India.
All right, in other news, as the country marked the Korean War anniversary, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un visited memorials honoring the veterans of the 1950 to 53 war on Friday. North's official news agency KNCA reported that during Kim's visit, he said it was a sacred mission of the current generation to build a paradise for the people of previous generation. North Korea signed an armistice agreement with the U.S. and China on July 27, 1953, ending the battle in the 3-year war. North Korea calls July 27th Victory Day, even though the armistice drew a border dividing the Korean peninsula. South Korea does not mark the day with any major events. Protesters gathered in Islamabad on Friday to demonstrate against inflation and taxes on energy bills. Supporters of Pakistan's major Islamist party, Jamaat-e-Islami, were prevented from entering a zone of capital Islamabad in a bid to stage a sit-in. Local authorities barricaded the roads leading to top government offices, diplomatic enclave and Parliament House. Several protesters who tried to cross the barriers were arrested by police, while the government announced that they had formed a 3-member committee to talk to Jamaat-e-Islami leadership. Video game voice actors and motion capture performers have called a strike over failed labour contract negotiations focused around AI-related projections for workers, bringing about another work stoppage in Hollywood. The SAG-AFTRA has called a strike of the interactive media agreement that covers video game performers. The decision follows months of negotiations with major video game companies. Apart from AI protection, SAG-AFTRA's most pressing issues in the contract are higher pay, medical treatment and breaks for motion capture performers. You're watching DD India Live. We're heading for a quick break, but after the break, several people fear trapped as a 3-storied building collapses in Navi Mumbai Shahbaz village. Rescue operations on. Alarming reduction in water levels witnessed across several water bodies in Kashmir as the heaven on earth swelters under a scorching heat wave.
Why is strategic autonomy such a fundamental pillar of Indian foreign policy? How is it manifesting in India's current diplomacy around the world? And what is the future of strategic autonomy as India rises to the status of a leading power in the world?
We are saying that it's not only about strategic autonomy of India, it's also about strategic autonomy of other nations, including Taiwan and Tibet. And that's where we are putting China into the spot.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is chairing the 9th NITI Aayog Governing Council meeting in New Delhi. The meeting is focusing on Viksit Bharat at 2047 vision. The meeting aims to make India a developed nation by 2047 through collaborative governance with the theme Viksit Bharat at 2047. Now, the meeting aims to foster participative governance and collaboration between centre and the state governments. Discussions on approach paper for vision document on Viksit Bharat 2047 are taking place, and deliberations on the role of states in achieving this goal. As India targets to become a $30 trillion economy by 2047, this meeting will create roadmap for Viksit Bharat vision through centre-state teamwork. The focus is on the recommendations from 3rd National Conference of Chief Secretaries held in December 2023. The ASEAN group of countries held post-ministerial conferences on Friday with Britain, Russia and South Korea as part of the ASEAN foreign ministers' meetings in Laos. Among other things, they spoke about the progress they have made in relation with the Southeast Asian grouping. The meetings in the Laotian capital seek to advance a stalled bid to resolve a crisis in Myanmar and cool tensions in the South China Sea. Earlier, Laos's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Solomze Komasit welcomed the delegates before presenting the host country's traditional cuisine and cultural performances on Friday. The two summits will be held on Saturday to address key global issues. These will be attended by countries and entities such as the United States, Japan and the European Union. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar called on Lao PTR Prime Minister Sonexay Sifandon along with fellow foreign ministers in Laos on Saturday morning. He conveyed the warm greetings of India's Prime Minister. Both the leaders discussed development partnership and cooperation in defence, heritage, conservation, energy, digital and capacity building between the two countries. Dr. S. Jaishankar said that he values Sifandon's guidance on further strengthening their close ties that are deeply rooted in shared civilizational connect. Dr. S. Jaishankar said India fully supports Lao PDR's chairship of the ASEAN and East Asia Summit. Dr. S. Jaishankar also met with Foreign Minister of Turkey, Hakan Fidanon, on the sidelines of ASEAN. They discussed bilateral ties and exchanged views on regional and global issues. In other news, a three-storied building collapsed in Navi Mumbai Shahbaz village and several people are feared trapped. Authorities, including the police, fire brigades and the NDRF, are present at the spot. So far, 2 persons have been rescued alive and 1 more is suspected to be trapped. Rescue operations are underway. India remembers its former president, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, popularly known as the Missile Man of India, on his 9th death anniversary on Saturday. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam left an unforgettable mark on India with his highly renowned contributions to science and technology, inspirational leadership and humble behavior. Observing Dr. Kalam's 9th death anniversary in 2024 is a great opportunity for every individual to reflect on his life and achievements. The Central Reserve Police Force, or the CRPF, is celebrating its 86th Raising Day on 27th of July. Now, this special day honors the significant and unmatched contributions of the force in safeguarding unity, integrity and sovereignty of our country. On this momentous occasion, the CRPF is paying homage to its brave martyrs and reaffirming its unwavering dedication towards protecting the nation. Taking to social media platform X, CRPF said, CRPF on 27th of July, the Indian Army is celebrating its glorious history of the last 85 years filled with valor, courage, sacrifice and devotion to duty. Heartiest greetings to all force personnel and their families on the 86th CRPF Foundation Day. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Saturday extended greetings to all the brave hearts of the Central Reserve Police Force personnel on their Raising Day and said the nation greatly appreciates their courage, dedication and selfless service. The Prime Minister in a social media post said, and I quote him, "On the occasion of their Raising Day, my greetings to all the CRPF India personnel. Their unwavering dedication and relentless service to the nation are truly commendable. They have always stood for the highest standards of courage and commitment. Their role in keeping our nation safe is also paramount." Up next, we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India now. Pakistan's Border Action Team's action has been foiled by alert Indian Army troops, in fact, this morning in the Kamakari sector of Kupwara in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. 1 Pakistani has been killed while 5 personnel have suffered injuries in the ensuing operations. Further details are awaited. India's Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar planted saplings under Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam campaign at Asita, the ecological site along River Yamuna in Delhi. Delhi Lieutenant Governor V.K. Saxena and his wife Sangeeta Saxena also planted saplings under Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam campaign. And now we take a look at weather updates. Massive wildfire engulfs Canada's Shetland Creek. Raging wildfire has devastated the Western Canadian tourist town of Jasper, potentially destroying up to 50% of structures, the authorities said. There are currently 176 wildfires burning in Alberta. Around 10 of those blazes are close to the border with British Columbia. Authorities say the fire has the potential to grow significantly closer to Labrador West. Firefighters in California are battling series of hot spots across the state. The wildfire has forced thousands to flee their homes in a fast-moving blaze that is the largest in California so far this year. The wildfire, fueled by dry conditions and high winds, has loomed environmental challenges. Emergency services have been working tirelessly to contain the fire, utilizing both ground crews and aerial support to douse the flames and establish fire breaks. The current heat wave gripping Kashmir has resulted in significant reduction in water levels across several key water bodies, sparking concern among environmentalists, local communities and government officials. The heat wave has accelerated the evaporation process, causing critical water bodies such as Dal Lake, Wooler Lake and the Jhelum River to see a sharp decline in water levels. All right, that's it in this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates on India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. You can download the respective Android and iOS QR codes on the screen. We will be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.